We are live finally. I swear every time I use this app, Be Live, I always have technical difficulties, and Michelle had some trouble getting on. So I want to introduce you all to my client, Michelle Marsh, and she is in the Facebook group. You might have seen her posting. And we're going to talk a little bit about Michelle's story and how she's doing. So, I want you to start by introducing yourself, Michelle, and kind of your backstory, and then we'll take it from there.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to blame Fortnite for our technical difficulties. I've got tweens that play a lot of that. So if you're a mom and you have tweens, you get that.
Yes.
No. Anyways, no, I'm 52, and my name's Michelle Marsh, and I found Hillary in the No Excuse Moms over 40. So I immediately was attracted to the things that she was bringing to the group, and one of which was hair and makeup and tutorials and all those kinds of things. And I actually noticed that her hair looked very similar to mine. I wear extensions, and actually came forward with her and said, hey, I wear extensions. And we started talking or just chatting, and I realized that she might have some similar situations as I did. I had a health situation where I was diagnosed at 43 with interstitial cystitis. You guys have read this, through Hillary's posts lately. And it was devastating at the time. It was painful. It was depressing. I hit an all-time low. I went from being about 119 pounds down to 109. I was very, very upset about it. It was just devastating in my world because I do work full time. I have the kids, and then I was trying to deal with this pain. I had actually had it for about a year, and I was using topical meds, just some over the counter bladder UTI type medications for it. And then I finally hit rock bottom where the pain did not stop, and I had to go in and be analyzed and, of course, diagnosed. There were all kinds of tests, and I'd never heard of this thing before. And the quality of life was just diminished for me. And I actually had a counselor calling me weekly to make sure I was eating and doing okay. And I had to perform at work, and it was pretty tough. So long story short, I got put on a medical prescription called Elmeron, and it is a very strong drug. It does help a lot of people, but it's a low-grade chemo, and it actually had a lot of devastating side effects for me. A lot of women don't have any problem at all, and I'm thrilled for them. But for me, I knew that this was actually destroying my health as I knew it, even though I had IC. And one of the side effects was hair loss, hair breakage. I had GERD in my throat where I felt I had a really big ball or softball in my throat at all times. I had IBS symptoms where I was running to the restroom every morning, like 3 and 4 times before I went to work. I didn't feel myself. I have tingling in my feet, but I'm not diabetic. I mean, I could go on and on with the things, and I was actually going to the doctor, spending time to be diagnosed with either PPIs, acid blockers or things to help my throat. I just knew that Elmeron was probably making me worse. And I knew that there was enough people out there that could be helped naturally, and I could get off of the Elmeron, but I was scared to do that. And that's when I found Hillary, and I can't even tell you the relief that I had when I met her and found out that she had IC, because now I've got a nutritionist and a health coach that actually has experienced my same disorder, among other things. And I knew that I could trust her. I kind of just needed someone to hold my hand and actually do research. I'm so busy. I was so petrified with fear and stopping meds because it had made me able to function for the last 10 years. So I was okay, obviously, giving the reins over to her, and she was willing to take me on, which I thought was pretty damn brave too. So that's how I got started.
Michelle, for those of the ladies who might watch this later who don't know, can you talk a little bit about what IC is and what it means to be in a flare?
So interstitial cystitis, or IC, it's actually a really common autoimmune disorder. they're not sure exactly how you get it. Mine was brought out by an allergic reaction and steroids. However, I'd had pieces of it throughout my life here and there, either going through something emotionally devastating or depressing. Also, endometriosis surgery brought it out for me. And each time I was able to put myself back into remission. So, what it is, it's basically feeling like you have a UTI that will not go away no matter what you do or what you try. And that means no sex. It means constantly running to the restroom. It means being in pain 24/7. And that will put you into a downward spiral that, I mean, you guys can already imagine. It's worse than a yeast infection. It's worse than anything that you can experience. And it doesn't stop. And sometimes it gets worse with what you eat, meaning acidic things. I think the easiest way to explain IC is saying that it's GERD of the bladder, so that if you eat or drink coffee, wine, tomato sauce, anything acidic, you're going to burn. And trying to function in everyday life, burning with pain, everybody experiences it differently. We all have different symptoms, but mine was severe burning all the time. And those of you who are my friends that know me, you guys know, you saw me, you know what I experienced. It was absolute hell on earth. And it actually, IC has the third highest suicide rate next to cancer. So, and that was me. I totally needed psychological help because I really thought that my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old were going to lose their mother. I wasn't suicidal, but I thought I was going to die from this. And I didn't want to live with this.
Right. What are the doctors, traditional doctors really don't have a great prognosis. What did they tell you?
They told me, okay, this is incurable.
Mm-hmm.
You can go into remission. It's possible. We can give you 2 things. We can give you Elmeron, which takes a year to make you feel better. And in my case, it took about 2. We can also give you bladder cocktails where we drain your bladder and we put into your bladder through a little fish line a anti-inflammatory agent or a cocktail along with Elmeron so that it gets into your bladder faster. And that actually helped me quite a bit. I had 5 treatments of that and I got into remission for 2 months. Then I fell out. I had a death of a friend, and that sorrow and devastation came back, which tells me this is kind of psychosomatic, or you can bring it on yourself by whatever you're experiencing and whatever you're feeling inside. And for me, I thought for the longest time it was foods that I ate. It is not foods. It was me. But
Yeah,
that's my belief.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've learned through the program about your IC and what the cause is and how you can control or how you can overcome it?
So what I have learned, and I was very open-minded to this, because when I was diagnosed with my IC, I didn't know which way to turn. Do I go pharma, or do I go, do I see a naturopath, or what do I do? And when you are really experiencing something like that, you're not sure. And all I knew was pharma. So of course I went to a urologist, and I've been with this guy for a little while, and he did his best, but he can't cure me. So I was on the Elmeron for as long as I've mentioned, and I really wanted off of this because I was feeling worse and worse, and I just felt handcuffed to the Elmeron. When I met Hillary, she brought some theories to my attention, and one of them, and this is the way I explain it, it's how many of you have an internal conflict with your body? You're kind of pissed off. I was ever since I had kids. I never had a weight problem. I was thin. There were a lot of things I was pissed off at my body for, even though it brought me beautiful children and I experienced other issues. I had this mind-body conflict going on like this. And I think if you don't have the mind and body connection and it comes apart, you might be somebody at high risk for having an autoimmune disorder or something else. And in my case, it was IC, and I had struggled with it before. And I always thought I was an extroverted person, and I tell everybody everything. But no, you can actually stuff a lot into your body, your past traumas, your childhood, whatever experiences that have given you sorrow or sadness or anger, anything like that. And So Hillary taught me not only things that will help me in a flare, because again, I went off of a med that I was completely dependent upon for over just about 10 years. So that was a pretty scary thing in itself. But she was able to give me not only first, it was my diet. We took out some things that I was pretty afraid of. Not, I didn't truly know what it was that was hurting me, but we took out some things just so I could be kind of rest assured that I'm not going to have a flare. I stopped the med on my own. However, Hillary gave me some things that I can do in the mornings and throughout my day. I do the celery juice that I absolutely crave now. And I mean, who likes celery juice? But I love it. There was some marshmallow root. There's some macronutrients which I desperately needed because I cannot take a vitamin. It's too acidic. And I knew I was lacking in probably hormones, in also, whatever kind of nutrients I'm needing. But who knows what those are unless you get tested. So those were some things in the beginning that we did. And then after that, I had to retrain my thoughts to not being so negative, so self-hating, and the self-talk that can be so negative. We do that in our brains and we don't say it outright, but I would say things too a lot of the time, just kind of joking, but that stuff stays with you. And I didn't realize that. I always thought I was being humble. I thought I was being kind of funny because I could laugh at myself. But in reality, those are things that will affect you with time. And so I stopped doing that. I retrained my thoughts. I've stopped myself in mid-sentence if I'm going to say something that is negative about myself. And then meditating has helped. Yoga has always helped me since I was first diagnosed. So that has been a really good thing to get back into. My studio closed, and so I've had to do things on my own. And then probably the thing that has been most beneficial has been tapping, and that's something that I'll let Hillary talk about, but I can't even begin to describe how helpful that is. And I think we should know more about this. I think most people should know about this because I've actually gone in and learned about it on YouTube, and it's pretty amazing the success stories that people have had with it. And it sounds crazy, but it's a really beneficial tool that is free and you can use it very quickly. So, okay, I'm rambling, so I'm going to be quiet now.
You're doing great. So, I mean, it just the changes I've seen in you over these past like 9 weeks are amazing. I mean, coming from not understanding the mind-body connection to now becoming such a huge advocate of it and a huge believer is amazing. Now, I wanted you to say, so you were on Elmeron, but you were still having flares of your cystitis. So it wasn't stopping the flares. It was just kind of helping you manage them. Now, since you went off of Elmeron on your own, I did not tell you to go off on it, but off of it, but you had the courage.
Yeah.
Now, you had a couple of flares in this time, but talk about how it's been different this time.
It's quite amazing because if you have a flare, what that means is, for me, I have pain and then I'm using the restroom like 8 times a night because you just can't get any relief. And it's not only is it painful physically, but for me, I go into a downward spiral and my pulse gets high. I panic because I think, oh my God, is this the end? Is this what's going to happen? I'm going to go back into this flare forever again. And it's really my mind playing a horrible joke on me. I can't tell you how less my flares are in terms of pain since I've been doing all of this. And I'm not sure what single thing to give most credit to. Maybe it's my head. I don't know. Maybe it's my brain and the way I'm thinking. I don't know. But I think it's a combination of, stripping back maybe things in my diet that might have irritated me that I didn't know about before. And quite frankly, I didn't have time. I didn't have the courage to figure out what it was. And I was afraid. I was scared. I didn't want to know. And now I really don't care. It's not what I'm eating. I ate today. I had spicy Thai soup. I've never been able to do that. And I have no problem right now. So I don't know if that's because I'm taking other things out of my diet that maybe were bothering me. I'm not sure. but I can live the rest of my life like this. And I know darn well I am not going to be dependent on Elmeron. I think I'm off it for life now. At least I feel that way. Yeah, it's been not quite 3 months, but I feel as if I'm not afraid. I'm not scared, and I'm not afraid of the flare. I know how to get out of it because of the techniques that I've been taught by Hillary when I do have a flare. And
Right.
so, some people, everybody's different. Things work differently for everyone, but this is something that has been really powerful. It's been freeing because now I know it wasn't about the expense of Elmeron. It's completely covered by insurance. It was mainly me feeling horrible about the side effects that I had. And I just felt like a prisoner in my own body, if that makes any sense. And I just wanted to be off of it and get on with my life. I felt like it was holding me back from a lot of things. And that could just be me putting that thought in my own head. But being off of it is so freeing, thinking there is hope. There is actually a lot to healing yourself if you can do it, if you can get answers. And that's where I needed Hillary to hold my hand through the process.
Right. You mentioned tapping. I am going to do a live video about tapping. But just for those of you who are curious, who heard Michelle talk about it, it's called the emotional freedom technique. And what it does is it incorporates acupressure points on your body. So it's kind of an offshoot of acupuncture, which has been known in Chinese medicine for thousands of years. And what it does is it couples kind of affirmations or statements that get your brain to start thinking in a different way and kind of get out of that. I would say that cycle of downward spiral of thought. Wouldn't you agree, Michelle?
Yeah, it's very calming if you're in pain or if you have anxiety of any sort. That for me, that's
Yes.
what I found.
And once you learn how to do it, you can write different scripts for yourself that really work for you. And you go through the points of your body and you're saying this script. And you rate your emotion when you first start, and then you rate your emotion at the end. And if it's still high, you can continue going. Or just the actual, I feel like just the action of doing it kind of breaks that cycle, that downward spiral that we can very easily get into. And tapping can be used for everything. Everybody can use it. Kids can use it. Although I showed my son, and he's like, "This is kind of weird." But so it would be like getting him to use it. But it can be used for so many different things, and it's such a powerful technique that I teach all my clients, and I use myself as well.
So impressive.
Yeah. So, do you have any advice for any of the women watching who might be struggling with, health issues, or, with their weight or nutrition?
It's really important. I think that number one, we support each other, and I think this is a really great place to do that. And you need your girlfriends, and that was one of my goals when I met Hillary. I had some goals that I needed to address, and one was, for my personal goal of getting off of Elmeron. The other one was, spending time with my girlfriends, because I work a lot and I have my family, and I know you guys do too. And we just need to be there for each other no matter what it is. My thing might have been IC and Elmeron, but that's my wart on my nose. We all have our thing. And so I would just urge anyone who is feeling as if they are lost, or as Hillary says, stuck, that there is someone willing to hold your hand and walk with you through onto the next path. Because if you don't take an action, then what is it? They call it analysis by paralysis, when you're just
Right.
not acting.
Mm-hmm.
That is when you're doing a disservice to yourself. And I tease Hillary all the time because she'll say, "Michelle, how is that serving you?" At the time, my thoughts are not serving me, And so it's always in my head now, how is this serving me? And how is your life the way it is? How is it serving you? And you can have a girlfriend help you, and you can have someone hold your hand, and we're all here to be supportive of one another. And I think that if you need help, then reach out. And and someone may know an answer or two, but a lot of us want to stuff it down and hold it secret and not talk to anybody. And yet in reality, we're all dealing with the same stuff. We've all had kids, our bodies change. As miraculous as our bodies are, they're not going to be what they were before they had kids. It's just not possible in some cases. There are some girls that look amazing and good for them, but we all have our own private deal. And I think no matter what it is, we all understand and accept each other. And that's super powerful, just having, your support and involvement and participation by the other ladies in the group.
Right. I think, yeah, just as our lives get busy, we have more responsibilities.
Yep.
Our bodies change. We don't really know. It's hard to juggle it all, and it's easy to let things kind of get out of control and then to put ourselves last. So we talked about last week something that really spoke to you, Michelle, about how now in the past you were living from fear, and now what are you living with?
Well, we talked about a lot of things here.
Like living from fear. Before you were living out of fear, but now you're living with purpose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of sense of purposes. You know how you have your sense of purpose, but yeah, I mean, to Hillary's point, I don't have that fear holding me back anymore. I still have fears. I was talking to her about going to a gym and actually using the equipment, and that's a fear for me. But I have a purpose. Get in the gym. So yeah, right. For sure.
Just by meeting these goals you've already set, I find you going to the gym, that's a goal that we're going to help you overcome for sure. Yeah. I mean, you've overcome so much in this short time. So, I mean, you can do anything. So, well, thank you so much, Michelle, for talking with me and sharing with everyone your experiences and your story, which I hope is inspirational to a lot of everybody. I found that a lot of people haven't heard of interstitial cystitis, that it's not very well known, but it's like any as you said, any autoimmune disorder, I believe is really caused by that mind-body connection and that disconnect. And if we can put them together and find a way to live in harmony, that is the key to healing. So
absolutely. Yeah. And the reason I said I had met so many people that did have IC, it's actually more common, is because I did find a support group and online, and I was able to meet other people. And the success, whenever anybody has any sort of autoimmune or any pain, success stories are always the best thing to read, because those groups can truly scare you a lot. So yeah, keep that in mind, ladies. It's good to have support sometimes, but the right kind of support and the positive support is the most important. And I've actually formed some really close and extremely valuable friendships with people that have had it, who have been able to go into remission in their own ways. Everybody has their own way. And like I said earlier, everyone's so unique and different. There's so many things that people can try to be successful, hopefully, and go into remission and whatnot. But, we're all dealing with a lot of, another big one right now is, Hashimoto's or anything thyroid. That's huge for women. And, right. I think there's a lot of ways that you can actually heal or reverse the damage, if you can, by trying things that are holistic and not always so big pharma. I haven't experienced that exactly, but I know several people that have. So, and it kind of runs hand in hand with IC. A lot of those autoimmunes do. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again, Michelle. I appreciate you taking your time, and we will talk soon. Do you have anything else before we sign off?
No, just thank you so much for all of your guidance and your support and your knowledge and your expertise. And I just can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. I mean, seeing this transformation in you is just so fulfilling to me. So, all right, lady, I will talk to you soon. Okay. And good night, lady. Everybody else who's watching. Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.